Investments are in these startups where the founders still don't look anything like me.
Girls are so much more multifaceted than that pink box that the toy industry puts them in, and it's time for a change.
A lot of organizations are very deliberate in trying to bring more women, more African Americans, more Latinos into their companies.
And when you look at Silicon Valley, they say they have a testosterone problem, white males and Asian males.
Those are just a few of the guests that we've had on Risk and Reward discussing diversity in tech. Joining me now are the founders of a New York City startup incubator that is working to change the ratio. Matt Harrigan and Charlie Bonello with me now from Grand Central Tech. Great to see you guys. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
So we know that acceptance-wise, you are now taking applications, right? So tell us a little bit, remind us a little bit about the program.
Absolutely. So Grand Central Tech is a technology accelerator. And what we do that's a little bit differently is we try to arm all of our companies with the resources that they need to grow. Some of the things that we give that we think are overwhelmingly positive are a full year in our space, access to interns, mentors, programming from around the community.
Even the space alone, just for a company to be there and not have to worry about paying rent, is a huge pressure off the back.
Yeah, it can amount to an entirely new hire that they're able to afford in the course of a year as a result of taking that burden off their backs.
So essentially your class begins in July, and so that's why you're taking these acceptances now, or these applications now.
Yeah, so our application window actually just opened yesterday and will run for the next 2 months. So we're looking for startups interested in that unbeatable deal.
All right, now speaking of startups, do you go out and purposefully cultivate startups that are run by women or minorities?
I would say yes, we do to some extent. We look to market towards these individuals and to really cultivate a competitive advantage through the best talent possible. One of the things that we've done toward that end is the selection of our last class. So we got 500 applicants. We chose 18 companies. Of those companies, 42% are founded by women. An additional 30% are founded by either veterans or underrepresented minorities.
And I know one good thing about the way that you select is that you're purposefully not finding startups who would directly compete with one another. And I've been to your space. It's fantastic and it's open and it really encourages this idea of cooperation. So obviously you're not going to take businesses that are going to go head to head but are more complementary.
Exactly. We look for, our goal is to build a collaborative community, so that means companies at different stages in terms of how sophisticated they are, but also in completely different markets. There's a lot that each of them can learn from each other in terms of how they go to market.
And then, of course, as you highlight with the diversity, they're all coming from different perspectives and different backgrounds, so that can only be a strengthening point to any business. You just announced 7 corporate sponsors, though, yesterday. So who are they and what's the purpose of this relationship?
Great. So the sponsors are Google, Microsoft, IBM, Intuit, L'Oreal, PepsiCo, and JP Morgan Chase. So probably heard of those. And Matt does a great job of kind of laying out what their purpose is in working with us.
I mean, the objective in partnering with them is to really unlock all of the value in New York's tech scene, right?
Well, for them, it's great, right? Because they're like, hey, we need hot tech talent. Who are the people to watch? And you have them under your roof.
Absolutely. And from the startup's perspective, they gain access to industry leaders who can tell them about their problems and they can tweak their products accordingly. So it's definitely a win-win for both sides.
So was lucky 7, was that a special number or it just worked out that way?
You know, our goal has always been to engage seldom but engage deeply. So we may add on another 1 or 2 over the coming year. But our focus is to really drive relentless value to both our companies and to our sponsors. And part of that is really being able to focus on delivering that rather than spreading it too thin.
Sure. And Matt, I'm obviously, as Charlie said, we can see and know all of these companies. They wanted to be there, but you felt like they were going to work with your people in the right ways.
Absolutely. I mean, as Charlie mentioned, we could have accepted many more corporate partners. We worked with this select group because of what they're bringing to the table as well. So
all right. Well, you both are on the front lines of tech in New York. I'm going to ask you both the same question. What are you seeing right now that is the most exciting idea, bar none, whether or not it comes to fruition?
I think that as an industry, security is probably one of the most exciting parts and something that we're looking at ourselves. My favorite idea right now is Tinder for Cats, which Matt and I have been batting around for a long time.
All right, Matt, who does not have his pet here, but your favorite idea, unless he just stole yours.
No, Tinder for Cats is a long-running joke of ours, but I am particularly excited by 3D printing. I think it's still an industry that's waiting to get figured out, and it's an industry that New York can really lay claim to.
All right, well, thank you both for the time. Great to have you with us. Matt Harrington, Charlie Bonello joining us there, the co-founders of Grand Central Tech.